Maybe you guys are living in a different country than the one I'm living in, because did you know that our constitution in South Africa doesn't allow any foreign national to operate an informal business, like a spaza shop, like a salon? But yet we see our police vans going to these informal businesses that are owned by foreign nationals to buy bread and do whatever. Why do you think that is? Why do you think there are certain parts of our constitution that are not being enforced? Why? Who do you think is standing in front of these things to be enforced? My God, wake up, South Africans. Do you think your kids, the same kids that are going to these schools that I know today, the schools that have 2 teachers from grade 1 to grade 7, do you think your kids, your soft kids who are traveling by transport to school, you think these soft kids that you're raising with Paloni and Vienna, do you think these kids are going to be able to compete with these guys in the next 20 years, in the next 10 years? Do you think they'll be able to compete with these guys in business? You gotta be joking. Do you think they'll be able to? Come on, guys. Do you know that politicians don't really run the countries, but mostly it's business moguls who are running these countries? Behind the scenes. What's going to happen when all the business moguls are foreigners in this country? What is going to happen? Maybe you guys don't understand. Have you gone to scrapyards owned by Nigerians? Do you guys understand the empires that these Pakistanis, these Nigerians, these people are building in your country? Can you comprehend the empires that they are building? I don't think you see it. You're only seeing these spaza shops in your township, and you're seeing there are 3 spaza shops in the same townships. My God, there's one boss there on top. It's not just a spaza shop. It's an empire that is being built in front of your eyes with your own money. You don't get it. You don't get it. Most of us are still in denial. Studies say that as soon as a person admits and can sit down and be honest with themselves that something is going wrong, your brain itself cannot allow you to sit down and do nothing and not act. So most of us are in denial, like a woman who's being abused in their house, and they're still saying, no, it's because he loves me too much. It's because, my friend, you don't get it. You don't get it. At least, look, at least say something. You might not be able to go to the march, but say something. Don't just sit down and do nothing, because we are fighting for the future of our kids and our country. You don't get it. You still don't get it. You don't get it. These people are building things that are big. I went to a scrapyard there in Joburg, some Nigerian scrapyard. High walls. You're not allowed to enter. Oh, my friend, I was going to buy a part of a very fancy car, but that car was there in that scrapyard. How? I don't know. Your police themselves, they're not even allowed to enter and search in that place.
While South Africans are fighting immigrants, somebody is stealing their whole country, and it's not the immigrants. When you look at the actual numbers of people who attended those marches, they were small. The internet has a way of making outrage seem bigger than it actually is. But more importantly, both migrants and people against them are fighting for scraps, and you have to ask, who's actually eating the bread then? Because whilst we're chasing pregnant Zimbabwean women away from clinics for using 200 rands worth of medical supplies, a politician used 150 million rand of COVID funds to buy Smeg appliances and renovate his house. Another used $250 million in public security funds to build a swimming pool. Liam Jacobs has literally made a career out of documenting and calling this type of behavior out. By the way, I saw a comment that said he's literally the Jonasi of Parliament because of how many times he's switched parties. The corruption isn't hidden, you just have to look at the right people. And the scary thing is, it never stops there. It started with Nigerians, and then Zimbabweans. Now people from Limpopo are getting targeted because they don't look South African enough. You're building a hierarchy of who belongs, and once you start doing that, you don't get to control where it ends. That's how you got Rwanda, and that's how you got apartheid. No rational human being commits these things without being convinced that their target isn't fully human. Because this is exactly what's happening in America right now, for largely the same reasons. In the US, you have a working class that's been devastated since manufacturing moved to China, and wages have stagnated for decades. Then the same people who did that to them now point their rage at Mexicans whilst walking away clean. MAGA isn't a working class revolution, it is working class rage that has been redirected. And someone in South Africa is doing the exact same thing. They're making sure that the anger of people in the townships, legitimate, real, valid anger after 30 years of so-called liberation, where their land hasn't been distributed and their minds still aren't theirs, they're making sure that that anger is being aimed at Somalians instead of Santon. And what makes this worse is who's being targeted. The ANC's entire armed struggle was conducted in exile, in Zimbabwe, in Mozambique. Those frontline states fed, housed, and protected South African liberation fighters, and they were bombed for it. They had acts of war committed against them for standing with South Africa, and now we're turning away and deporting Ghanaians because we think they're gonna steal our jobs. These are diplomatic wounds that make one thing clear: South Africa is not for Africans. That's why it was so easy to support Mexico in the World Cup. By the way, I'm gonna leave this here for the rest of the video. And listen, June 30th will come and go. You will still have potholes, and medical funds will still be used for politician holidays. Getting rid of immigrants deals with the symptoms, not the disease. Pouring water on one burning branch doesn't stop the whole tree from burning. Political action doesn't feel as sexy and revolutionary as a march or a protest. It doesn't feel like enough of a silver bullet. But you've had the same ruling party ever since independence, and somehow anger never seems to land there. Hate is a very powerful unifying force. Somebody knows that, and somebody is using it.
Situation ya drobon banane kamzane ni grambara bazama ya bulina banane banane. Bazama ya.
Bye bye. Bipite bubuya la. Bubuya my friend. Bubuya my friend.
Mara bulina banane bazama ya.